Nate, thank you for making the time. As always, if you have a question, please indicate so using the raise hand function and we'll get to you in order. Exactly. So we're going to start off with a question from Brendan Batchelor from Sportsnet 650. Brendan, go ahead.
Hi, Nate. Thanks for taking the time today, and welcome to the Vancouver Canucks organization. Just your thoughts on the trade in light of the fact that this is a team that you just faced in the playoffs a few weeks ago.
Yeah. You know what? Last night was hard. You put down some roots in a place. You're there from the beginning, that's always something special to be. Not very many guys can say they've been at a place from the ground up, But one thing I will say is, so you touched on this, is that we just played these guys. Well, no, we played the Canucks, like you said, about a month ago, and there was a buzz about them in the bubble. There was a buzz about them, about their young players and the talent that they have, especially up front, and then on the back end with Quinn Hughes. Sprinkle in with some veteran guys that have been around the league. And you can understand, you see when you play them, I mean, you're one goal away the other way from them moving on and from Vegas going home. And so you understand that this team has got a tremendous feel and a team that went down 3-1 in the series and never allowed us in Vegas to just take over the game and just say, okay, that's it, it's over, we're going to lay down in front of you and move on. And that's something that's very admirable. That's the kind of team that you want to be a part of. You want to be a part of someone and a group of guys that will fight for each other and all the way down tooth and nail, all the way down to the end. With each passing hour, you get more and more excited about the prospect and the idea that's being a Vancouver Canuck. I was talking with the staff, I didn't have any blue sweatshirt, so you guys get my junior blue, my junior team, part of the Fargo Boys blue today. But like I said, with each passing hour, the excitement has been increasing. Just again about the buzz about the team. Braden Holtby, Jay Beagle, guys I've played with before. Braden was, been one of my best friends that I have in hockey. So I'm really excited to be back with him. And you're joining an organization that's trending in such a positive and such an impactful direction with their team.
That's great. Next up, we have Farhan Lalji, TSN.
Nate, you mentioned last night was hard. Did you get a sense that this was coming once the Pietrangelo rumor started in Vegas? Did the club communicate with you about it earlier, that this was a real possibility? And from a Canucks standpoint, I know there's been a lot of talk about you being a left-handed shot, but you've been able to play on the right side pretty effectively. What do you think about your game's allowed you to make that move to your offside and play it as effectively as you have?
Yeah, I'll reverse that. Go reverse order there. Playing on the right side is very natural to me. I've been doing it in Vegas. I've been doing it all the way back into Washington as well. It's been something I'm very extremely comfortable with. I feel great about. The game is a little bit different than that side, but I've gotten used to it over the years and understand what you can and can't do while you're playing on the offside, and what backhand plays you're going to have to make in certain areas of the ice in order to be successful. So that's something that, like I said, I have no issues with whatsoever. If that's the case, if that's where Coach Ream wants to put me. And pertains to the other question, no, I did not hear anything. There wasn't until the deal was done. That with Pietrangelo coming in, there had to be something had to give. And it's one of those things that, it was a tough pill to swallow at first. Like I said, last night was hard, and coming to terms with it, with how when you sign an extension and to the language and the talk about it at the time to what has happened in the last 24 hours or last 12 hours, I guess you could say, is different. But again, with today and with how I got through my workout this morning, spent some time with some family, and you start to remember you look back at these series that you play against these guys, Vancouver has been my favorite place. You can ask Braden if you get a chance. It's been my favorite place to come visit on the road. It's always my favorite city, always a buzz around the rink. Passionate fan base. We get to speak with you lot more often. You guys just see my ugly mug everyone a little bit more. It's something that, like I said, with each growing hour, the excitement is building about, the opportunity to be in a Canadian market and play for a team that's got a lot of talent, a lot of upwards trending, to the organization and to the players on the ice.
Next up, we have Patrick Johnston, Post Media.
Hey, Nate, welcome to Vancouver. You're a guy that's, as you said, you've taken on one challenge playing on the right side. Every team has little quirks here and there of their system. I mean, most systems seem to be the same these days. But how do you see your sort of skill set fitting in with how the Canucks play hockey?
Yeah, like I said, we know this team very well, especially with playing them very recently. You got a lot of high guys. I spoke about this a little bit earlier in the day. My D coach in college used to always say, Schmidt, get the puck to a skill guy. And thankfully we have plenty of those. A lot of guys that can wheel and deal and make plays. And I'm pretty sure I can remember Mr. Pedersen spinning me into a top last year to Brocker backdoor. So unfortunately, fortunately for me, I don't have to see any of that stuff anymore. But for me, again, if I play the right side and being a steady, stable guy that can jump up in the play, get my feet moving and help the team, in some hard minutes. And that's what I take pride in. I take pride in playing against the other team's top lines and doing my damnedest to shut guys down as best you can and give our guys an opportunity to be successful in their own right. If you get paired up in a shutdown role or you get paired up with a guy like Quinn Hughes, there's a lot of options with this group, which is awesome. That's what you want as a player. You want to be able to be, have many threats at all times. And that's what I think, what makes this team dangerous, is having a lot of guys that can be those threats. And for me, be rock solid, keep my feet moving, defend hard, eat a couple pucks for dinner, and just be ready to step into a role where I might be one of the older guys on the team now. It's wild to say that, but funny how the hockey world works sometimes. And I'm a pretty fun-loving guy. I'm a little bit goofy at times, but when it really comes down to it, I love getting to work and being around the guys and get down into the dirty areas and of practice and games, and it's just, don't tell anybody, but they pay me to have fun every day. So I enjoy it. I love what I do.
Great. Next up, we have Jeff Patterson, TSN 1040.
Hey, Nate. Peter DeBoer said after you guys eliminated the Canucks that maybe there was still sort of a lasting impact of what Thatcher Demko did to you guys over those final 3 games. I don't know how much you knew about Demko, but obviously now you're a teammate. Just take us back through those 3 games, though, and the challenge of trying to beat a guy that was in the groove that clearly he was in.
I don't know if in the groove is here. I don't know if in the groove is here, but I don't know what the next part be. And that's what I felt like when you play against a guy like that. I didn't know really. I knew who he was. Didn't really know him. Only know him personally. And Alex Tuck, I think, played together. And he said that he's an incredibly talented kid and do those types of things that, Markstrom's a great goalie, but they have a great goalie as their backup for the time being. So it's not, they're giving up on the series by putting Demko in. He did a fantastic job. Yeah, he really put a hurt on on our mojo, I think, with just being able to score. There'd be saves he would make that you just kind of shake your head at. And I guess that's just the best way you can describe it. When you're a player on the other side, it's hard. It's hard when you think and see these things happen and you don't really have an answer for it. You just kind of we gotta just keep doing what we're doing, right? But he played fantastic, and I think him and Braden are going to be an incredible tandem to have going forward. However we have this next season, it's a really big luxury to have two guys that can go in and win you games every single night. It's an incredible thing to have for your team.
Next up, we have Thomas Drance, The Athletic.
Nate, excuse me, I want to go a little bit off the board. With the way you play and take fourth man's ice and use your feet, it seems when you're open, you do like a battle cry, like a whoop. And I just wanted to ask about why you use that when you're open all around.
That is awesome. I didn't think anyone ever picked that up. How did you, I don't know if your mic is still on. I don't know. How did you find that? That's pretty good. Yes. So it was something that Justin Williams, one of my favorite guys I've ever played with. Justin, if you're watching, congrats on your retirement, man. You're the best of the best. Yeah, he's awesome. He did it a few times in training camp, and I asked him why. He's like, I don't know. I just feel like everyone knows it's me, And so I kind of did it as well. And there'd be times in games where I would whoop at him, and he's just like, yeah, I knew you were there because I know no one else talks to me like that. So I guess it's just kind of second nature now. It just happens. So if guys hear it, they know it's me. And it's always really loud and piercing. So again, I don't think any other guys are doing it. So it makes it a little bit easier to know that I'm the one coming up the ice. But it is good though. Well done. That is me that does that.
Next up, we have Vince Sapienza, Fox 5, Las Vegas.
Hey, Nate. I guess, I know you said it was a tough pill to swallow for you last night, but just talking about the last 3 years and how much Vegas has meant to you, and you kind of alluded to it in being, there's not many chances to be part of something from the ground up. I guess, what do you take away from the 3 years? I know you wanted to make that your roots and sign the long-term deal, but what do you take away the most from the last 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we went through as a group and what the city went through on October 1st, and just being a part of, you back that up 3 weeks into just getting there and seeing the city, and Vegas, it gets a different rap. You think, and me as a guy that visited there when I was in college or visited there before I played there, you think, oh man, this is great little strip in the middle. It's awesome. What a time. But then you get outside the city and realize what a phenomenal place and what a phenomenal group of people. And for a guy like me, that character, that type of, that welcoming, that warm, that people feel towards the guys, and how we were treated and how we tried, the community was so embracing. That's something that, is something I'll never forget. And it's something that we healed together, because I was down on the strip that night. It was crazy, something you'll never forget. It wasn't that close to what had happened, but it's still, you can remember things like it was yesterday. And I felt you forever feel a bond in that moment, and the moment within the next couple of days, and for the next 2 years, that you're a part of a fabric of the community. And I think that's what, you remember most. I loved playing with the guys, obviously miss them. It was a great group. Just I'm excited to battle against them now. I can't wait to use I can't wait to get Marchie a few times, and so amongst others. But it was, like I said, it was emotional. Last night, again, you put your heart and soul out into it, and with the group, and see how things turn out. And it never turned out, and this is the I guess the aftermath of what you think back about your time, with Vegas.
Next up, we have Stephen Wino, Associated Press.
Hey, Nate, when you guys were kind of the expansion team, you guys joked about being the ragtag misfits and all that, and you're the Cinderella lovable team. I'm wondering if you noticed over your time in Vegas that kind of eroding? I mean, you sign you trade for a Mark Stone, a Max Pacioretty, you almost become this group of kind of clearly a Stanley Cup contender. I'm wondering if you noticed that evolution from kind of the lovable Cinderella expansion team to, I don't want to say villains, but this like contending kind of team. And if maybe this is kind of the next step of that, of trading a guy like you, who was part of the original, Derek Englund leaving. I just wonder if you kind of notice that from the inside.
Yeah, that it's a good question. It's hard because that first year, it was, I don't think, I mean, I hope that another team has a chance to do that. I mean, to have that type of, group that we had and go through everything you went through to, getting picked in the expansion draft, going through the year, just everyone telling you you're not going to be any good, and all of a sudden you just kind of go and play, and all of a sudden you win 15 games at home, and you just kind of roll from there. I don't think you'll ever, replicate that. I think that year was that year, and now it's now, just based off of everything that's going on, the first year, and, the Vegas flu and all that stuff that came along with it. And the gals with the big feathers at the games, it was all wild. It was just something we had never experienced before. And so, that is definitely something that I think is since moved on, into a team that is, an incredibly good team that's in a very much win now mode. And, there are, casualties to that.
Brian Salmons, KSNV Las Vegas.
Hey, Nate. Brian Salmon here in Vegas.
Right.
First of all, I have to say, man, I said this on the air last night. Very, very sad seeing you move on, man. We all, the media, I'm sure Vince can attest to this as well. We're going to miss having you around, my man, for sure.
Thank you, man.
And one thing I want, is there anything in particular that you would like to say to the Las Vegas fan base? Because, I mean, I've seen all kinds of posts, and you're pretty much like the heartbeat of the team in this city and whatnot. Anything you'd like to say to them that I can put on the air tonight?
Making me get emotional too, Brian. It's killing me.
All right,
man. Speak right to you, Vegas. I just say this. Thank you so much for embracing me and having me be I can be my lovable, goofy self and being with me, from the ground up in a situation that didn't start off in the greatest, and they'll never forget. Forever a misfit. That our run together is something that it can't be matched. And so I just want to say thank you. There's a lot of, guys that, you can move places and whatnot, and you hear about it, but there really is truly a special place for me, for the community of Las Vegas. And I love and miss you guys, and all the best, and stay safe and healthy.
Justin Emerson, Las Vegas Sun.
Hi, Nate. You had mentioned obviously everything that the team went through that first season, but that second season for you, you had the suspension, and the team kind of adamantly stood by you, and then signed you to an extension right after that. Paul Stastny, and his availability with the Jets the other day, had mentioned that it's part of the business, and you kind of get used to being pieces on a chessboard. Is that kind of how you feel? Do you feel any resentment or ill will toward the Golden Knights at all for everything?
From the staff to the guys that we work with every day, I don't, it's something that there is a business part of it. Like I said before, it's hard from the moment you sign it to how things can change. That was hard. You think that the things are going to go one way, and then, like I said, there's a drastic upheaval in your life. But that being said, it was like I said, it's a business. It is. I get it. We know what we sign up for. these things are hard on us. You try as best you can to be as ingrained as possible where you are. At least I guess that's the way I am. And so that part was really difficult. But it doesn't tarnish the fact of, like I said before, how I am excited. I've been talking to some of the guys today here in Vancouver, and one of the best things and one of the things I've heard about the most is how tightly knit the group was, and that's something you can never really replicate. You got teams with good guys, and you got teams with other guys, and then there are super tight groups, and the feeling that I get now after speaking with management here in Vancouver and a lot of the guys, that's what gets you excited and more delve into what the future holds for you. And that's what I'm most looking forward to is I hope the guys aren't too sensitive about me being too loud and goofy sometimes in the locker room. I guess that's what I'm most afraid of. But hopefully it'll all work out.
Perfect. Next we have Jess Myers, The Rink Live.
Hey, Nate. Darby Hendrickson, 20 years ago, he was with the Canucks. He got picked by the Wild in the expansion draft, and you obviously know what that's like. He said even with the chance to go home to Minnesota, he wasn't sure he wanted to leave Vancouver. I'm thinking about guys like him, Trent Klatt, Keith Ballard. Brock Besser's a Minnesota guy. He's not a Gopher, but he's a Minnesota guy. Have you talked to any of them about life in Vancouver and what it's going to be like living there?
It's been a little bit of a whirlwind. I haven't yet. I was going to reach out to Keith here soon. My phone number changed here in the last month or two, so I was going to reach out to him, see what he's up to. But Brock and I, like I said, we play together a lot in the B League. Get to know him pretty well. He's a funny guy. Like I said, he cracks me up. I like him. He's a good egg. Like I said before, this has been my favorite place to come to and visit every year. They have this awesome Christmas market that I buy my mom ornaments from every year, and I bring them home, which is right downtown. So I always find that to be awesome. We always usually come there around Christmas time. So like I said, and everyone I'm talking with Shea Theodore's from Vancouver, and he's got a place downtown. So he's like, man, you're gonna love it. It's an awesome city, and I agree. I can't be. I can't overstate the idea of you're playing in a Canadian market. You're getting the best of the best. It's welcome to the big show. It's something that as a hockey player you dream of being on the big stage, and this is it. And I can't be like I said, can't understate the fact of being around a team with the buzz that this team has. That's really special. That's what I'm most looking forward to.
Great. We'll take two more questions here. Next up, David Schoen, Las Vegas Review-Journal.
I'm going to hear that a lot, Dave.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I kind of want to be a smart aleck and be the first one to ask you to compare Shea and Quinn Hughes, but I won't.
We'll get to that later.
I'm kind of curious about your relationship with George with all this. I mean, he obviously signed you in Washington and maybe was there for the lowest of lows last year with the suspension and the highest of highs. And what is the conversation like with him? If you can give any kind of insight, what's it just been like? What are you going to look back in 20 years and just maybe think of George in your role of your career and your life, I guess, maybe?
Yeah. I'll never forget what was said and the way the team, George was the first guy I called when I had heard the news that there was a possibility this thing was happening. And he was the first guy. I was like, there's no way, Schmidt. There's no way. It wasn't even a question. It wasn't even are you sure? Did you do anything? Did you take anything or whatever? It was just, I know what you're telling me is the truth. And that from that moment, I knew that, and George and I, like I said, have gone back a long way. There hasn't been any communication recently, so that one we'll see. But you look back at 20 years, he's still the guy that gave me my shot in Washington. Guy that picked me in the expansion draft. It's a fresh wound right now, so emotions are obviously running in every direction, and So I think that one I would need a little bit more time to digest. I just, like I said, it was hard given the previous communications in the past versus what had happened. But you know, a new beginning and is something that you know, like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. And you transitioned me really well into the Quinn Hughes Shea Theodore thing, man. It's a treat to be able to watch both of them. And I get to, you know, you watch them both in the last series. We play against them. You get to play with Shea. You see everything Quinn Hughes gets to do, and just know that his yeah, that's a landline my mom and dad had. Yeah, his transition, his hip swivel. I don't have that in my game. I don't think anyone has that in their game. The way that Quinn Hughes does that. So that's something I'm looking forward to. We'll see. TBD. You know, Shea is someone that's really blossomed into a fantastic player. You know, I think the sky's the limit for the both of them. I don't really see. I see these guys as being the next wave, as arriving as the next wave of guys that are going to be in that elite category for a long time.